the next thing to figure out on this bike is the primary belt. And I want to use a very similar belt to this one, but this one is too big. Oh look, there's a little bug. Get out of there. Hey, get out of there. Where'd he go? The problem is, it's actually too large for right here. You see, inside the inner primary that used to live here instead of this plate and something that will go here, there was a tensioner that would take up the slack in the belt. And if I installed this belt like this on this bike the way it is without a tensioner, it would just chew up the teeth or not even move the motor at all. I thought I had a problem with this. Right now the transmission is in neutral. And if you don't care about this, just skip ahead 30 seconds. It's in neutral. This should be able to spin without this moving, but it doesn't unless I spin it really fast. And I think what's going on is because this transmission has virtually no oil in it, it's just kind of sticking. But I thought maybe there's this plate that I've installed, this support bracket. You see, when it's moving the chain with really high torque, it doesn't want to shake the heck out of the main shaft and destroy the inner bearing. So you have an outer bearing that usually lives in the inner primary. This thing's got a bearing that press fits on there, and I thought maybe this plate is pressing against either one of the two shafts. There's two shafts, one inside of the other, or it's against the nut here. You see, when I bought this, it said it can't work with a super nut, which is something a little bit thicker to prevent the oil leak, which is how all this mess started anyway. But no matter, I don't have the problem I thought I did. Here's a picture, but there's a space between the plate and the rest of it. So now I'm going to reinstall this, figure out what size belt I actually need, and then order it. So you get to watch me do that in slow motion. This is kind of neat. This whole guy here, this race, rides on here with big giant needle bearings. So I got this whole bag of needle bearings here. And the way this whole clutch basket thing works is when the transmission is in neutral, the engine can spin the transmission and it won't spin the back tire. But when it's in gear, if you pulled in the clutch, it pushes on this rod, which pushes apart the clutch plates just enough for there to be enough play that even though it's got friction and resistance, it has to overcome the back wheel staying still. And it does a fine job of that. Very simple device. Something everyone should be able to do. And this belt won't actually fit over this. It should. Yeah. Well, now, so I've got to get this belt on this guy before I put in the needle bearings in order to measure it. The new belt I need must be pretty close to this old one for it to be such a tight fit. But now with it on there, you can see it's got some play. So these guys just fit in here, one by one, and eventually take up the slack. It's really cool, actually. And when I install this for the last time, I'll probably put a little grease on these because, well, I'm not going to highway this bike anymore after seeing, I mean, that's the whole reason why primaries have oil in them, is for these type of bearings to not get super hot and just lock up. It's just amazing. And the first time I took this thing apart, I had no idea that there were needle bearings in here. So they all just fell to the floor. As soon as I took out the clutch basket, it was like, ah! I was so worried I wouldn't find them all. But I mean, they're so freaking big, it's hard to imagine not finding them. Some rolled under the car and such, but I mean, I found all of them within a few minutes. Not like a 10mm socket, am I right? And now it's starting to support itself. Alright, they're all in there now. And the thing will move. I mean, I'm not turning over the motor with the spark plugs by hand. A clever way I'm going to figure out how many teeth I need on the new belt is to put tension on this, mark it right at the top, the bottom, the very top, the very bottom, and then count the difference between here and here. And I need this much on both sides, I think. You know what? I best do it both ways, because this part of the belt might need to be a little longer than that part of the belt, and I won't know, and it would really suck if I bought the wrong belt by like one tooth. I'll let you know how that works out. Alright, I did some measuring of the belt with the basket on, and this is a 99 tooth belt. I need a 97 tooth belt. Now, the transmission is on an adjustable plate, so it can move back and forth just a tad bit. So I think a 98 tooth or 97 tooth belt would work, but I want it to be as far forward as possible. So, yes, Mr. Aaron. There you go. Stay cool, stay young.